What's up guys, welcome to another very exciting tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to create this ink reveal effect. Alright guys, let's get started. I have 3 clips of ink splatter matte footages and 1 picture. If you want you can use a video here, and let's separate these ink splatters. First, let's bring into a new comp. We're going to separate this black part. Let's duplicate this layer, Ctrl D, and switch the toggle to see the track matte options and pick with this track matte, change it to luma matte, invert the luma matte, and now you have a separate splatter. You can simply generate fill effect, not the top layer to the bottom there. Ctrl X and go to again. You can go to generate, or you can add from here the last effect you have added to the last layer. And now you have a colored splatter, ink splatter, so you can color it like this. Let's bring the second video clip, the matte clip, and do the same thing. Let's duplicate it and set its track matte to the top one. Luma matte, and invert it. Go to effect, last effect, which is fill, or you can go to generate fill. I think I put it the top one again, so we need to cut it and then bring it down to that one. Change the color to a nice blue or whatever color you like. Alright, and let's go to the third one. And again duplicate it. Set the track matte and change it to luma matte. Invert it. Now select the bottom one. Go to effect fill. Change the color to something like this. Okay, that looks good. Now let's go to, I have 3 ink splatter comps now, separated ink splatters. Now let's create a new comp, call it main comp. Okay, and bring in those 3 ink splatters. Control click, bring 3 of the ink splatter footages, and let's scale it down. Press S, and let's arrange it. Let's bring the blue one on the right a little bit. And adjust the position like this. Maybe scale this one even more. Alright, that looks good. Now let's create a new comp by dragging this to this icon, or you can simply click that icon to create a new comp. Press OK and drag the picture in and name it picture, and let's resize it fit to the comp. Control Alt F. Now let's bring in one of these splatter videos, not the comps we just separated, not these ones. So let's bring in this. Let's go to the picture comp, bring this and drop it here. Let's bring it above this picture there, and we can resize this. Go to S, or you can fit to comp, Control Alt F. That looks good. Let's set its track matte to the video layer and Luma matte invert. Now the picture will reveal. That looks good. Now let's go back to the main comp and bring the picture. Drop it on top of all these splatters. Now let's duplicate and move these ones. And this one to this side. The red one maybe here. Also you can scale it up a little bit. Now you can duplicate, Control D, drag it here. So let's duplicate this, drag it here, Control D. You can also give it a fill if you want. I'll give it a black color fill. That looks good. And bring it below this one. And you can design it the way you want it to look. I think this looks good. Now let's create a new comp. Call it Paint Brush. OK. Go to Pen Tool. Click here and create a zigzag kind of line. Now the stroke is really big, that's why make sure the fill is up. This is just a stroke there. And let's go to Effect. Go to Distort, Turbulence Displace. Change it to horizontal displacement. Change the amount and size. And make sure it looks like a paintbrush stroke on the edges. Go to Stylize, Roughen Edges. Change the border to make it a little bit softer. Create a layer, new, solid. OK, go to Effect, Noise and Grain, Fractal Noise. Leave it as it is. Now let's set this track matte to the fractal layer just we created. And go to Luma matte. You can invert it if you want, but it's not necessary. Now the corners are kind of sharp. You can also change the color. Let's go and bring this to the bottom like that. Looks good. Let's go back to brush comp. And now let's adjust this. Maybe let's add a trim path. Go to the beginning, bring the end to all the way to 0, create a keyframe, go a few frames forward, and make it 100. Now the corners looks really sharp. In order to change it, you can change the line cap, or you can go to try adjust this part, but if it doesn't work, we can change the point to Bezier. Go to this one and select that tool and click this corner too. Now go to selection tool and adjust the handles. I think this looks much better. Drag it like that. That looks good. Now let's adjust the borders, distortion amount. Go to the main comp and take a look. That looks good. Let's bring the offset this picture layer. Can make the picture comes the last, or the splitters come earlier than the picture. Let's go back to brush comp and duplicate this layer. Control D and bring it somewhere here, so you can adjust the path, something like this. Make it a little bit different from the other one. Change the color, something like light red, pink, I guess. Can try to experiment with the invert option. Go to transform, flip horizontally, and just make little variations. Control D again, bring it down here, transform, flip horizontally again, and let's change the color, a blue color. That looks good. Let's go back to main comp. Now let's take a look. That doesn't look bad. Now it's about the way you want. You can mix different shapes and things like that. If you want to create new shapes, you can add more shapes like this and ink splatters the way you want. Alright, this looks really nice. Let's go to Effect, Generate Fill. You can give it a different color, maybe like a black color to this one. That looks good. Now let's take this one, change its position. That looks good. Alright, this looks really good. Now let's go to paintbrush again and make it center. Maybe we can add more brush strokes. Let's duplicate this one, bring it right around here and flip it just like before, horizontally. Go to the main comp, take a look. That looks good. Maybe right here would be good. Change the size. Scale it down a little bit. Something like that. Yeah, that looks good. Make a preview again. That's not bad. Let's go create a new comp again. Call it BG for background. Create a solid. This color is good. Lighter yellow. Let's duplicate this layer. Go to Effect, Noise and Grain, Fractal Noise again. And let's bring it below and set this track matte to the top layer. Change it to Luma matte. You can invert it actually. Control D the top layer, duplicate, and turn it on. Now we have a textured kind of background. Go to the middle layer, turn the opacity down a little bit. That looks good. Now let's keep one more texture. Go to New, Solid. Actually, let's duplicate this solid layer and bring it above everything. Remove the track matte and let's go to the fractal type to swirly, change it to spline, noise type, invert it, and then change the size, contrast. Uncheck uniform scaling, height to 0, and adjust the width, something like this, till you see some lines like this. Press T and bring the opacity, something like that. Now it looks more like a paper texture. Now let's go back to the main comp and bring the BG comp. Now we have a nice background. You can color it whatever you want, but I like this color, I'll leave it. Go to Effect, Noise and Grain, Noise Alpha. Make sure you select the right layer, which is the second layer, and add some noise. Go to main comp again. Now we have also some realistic noise effect added. To layer new adjustment there. Above everything, go to Effect, Color Correction, Curves, and bring the handle down like this to make it darker. Go to Ellipse and double click. Invert. Go to Feather, Mask. Go to Feather and feather it a lot like this. If you like to expand, just expand the mask. This looks good. It looks like the ink reveal is kind of slow. Let's go inside the picture comp, double click, select the footage or the time stretch, type in 60. Now this will reveal it much faster. There you go, it looks much better. Now it's time to create the title. Let's go back to picture comp, select the pen tool, make sure none of the layers are selected, click, shift click, and disable the fill, disable, and increase the brush stroke, and select this layer. Let's go back to not this comp, go to the paintbrush and select this layer and copy these two effects earlier we had added. Copy, go to picture comp, select the stroke layer, go to edit, paste. Now we have those effects on this layer. And let's go to BG layer and copy this layer, this one, third layer. Actually, yeah, go to third layer, go to edit, copy, go to picture layer, Control V, or go to edit, paste. Now let's set this one track matte, the stroke layers track matte to this layer. I'll set it to Luma matte. It's kind of bright because we didn't adjust the opacity 100%, and try to adjust these contrast and brightness. So we can go to the transform, disable uniform scaling, height to 0, adjust the width, a little bit height, play around and see what kind of look you're going to go for. This looks okay, but can increase a little bit more. Brightness good. Now select these two layers, Ctrl Shift C, name it brush stroke, hit OK, go to effect, go to distort and warp. Now you can change the style the way you want from here, drag it up. I think this looks good, and adjust the horizontal distortion and vertical to see what kind of look you want. Adjust the bend, and let's go inside that comp, type in the text, and with Studio, let's resize it, resize, bring it to the center of the shape. Now that bend effect is also going to affect because it's inside that comp. Now go back to that comp again. We need to animate the shape. I accidentally hide these things before. Let's bring those back. Parent link. Now let's bring this track matte. Actually, let's first animate this one. Go to add, trim path, create a keyframe right around here, and then go to the beginning, bring it all the way to 0. Now it will animate in. Now let's set the text layer, track matte to the shape, and turn it on. Now it will reveal the text also. Let's take a look. I think the shape animates kind of slow. You can go back to the brushstroke and adjust this. F9, and then adjust the curve. I think this will be good. That looks okay. Let's go back to main comp. Toggle these switches to reveal the 3D and make all these layers 3D. Now let's push this one back, Z space, and we don't need 3D or BG background layer. Now you will need to push these splatters into Z space because the picture should be on top of everything. Let's try to push this one back. Sometimes it's difficult to push, so we can go to bring it down. It wouldn't work. X, yeah, that's working, but press P and adjust from here. Now it works. Make sure that those are behind the picture, and we might need to adjust other splitters later as below. Let's go there, new camera, hit OK, bring it on the top, create a layer, new null object, and make it 3D and parent the camera to the null. Now press P, make a keyframe right around here, and go to the beginning and kind of zoom in, and it will zoom back out. Maybe right around here, zoom back out like that, and F9, go to the curve editor and adjust like this, and let's create a preview. That doesn't look bad, but the ink we need to push behind. I can see those on top, so let's select these, press P, and adjust Z position, and this one, and you might have to go through all these to make sure all these brushes are behind the picture, because the picture is the most important one in this composition. I guess you can leave it on top if you want, it's up to you. Yeah, that looks good, because when we change it to 3D, all the layers are in the same plane. That's why it is overlapping sometimes. In case you guys need the project file, I'll leave the link in the description. That's it for this tutorial, guys. I hope you guys find this tutorial helpful. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and if you have any comments, please leave it in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you, and I'll see you in the next one.